Marketing Your Private Practice is a podcast where you'll learn easy to implement tips and strategies to grow your business without spending all day online. I'm your host, Colaiacovo, and I teach practitioners the Thrive marketing method to create simple and streamlined plans by focusing on long-term strategies, not just social media. Discover ways to spend less time on your marketing, attract more clients, and build the financial freedom that comes with a thriving practice. One where you have time left in your day for the people and things that matter to you. Hey, private practice heroes, it's Colaiacovo, and I have a question for you. Do you ever wonder how other practitioners have been in business successfully for multiple years, yet you struggle every day to make it work? And sometimes you even think you might have to stop and go find a job? But not if you could figure out what these other practice owners are doing. Well, I'll let you in on a secret. The practitioners I've helped build 5, 6, and even some 7-figure businesses, most of them have followed a similar path, a path I created for them based on 14 years of working with practice and business owners. And today I'm going to peel back the layers and share the 7 steps involved in this path to becoming a thriving practice owner. Let's get to it. So I brought up this topic today because recently I had someone ask me why I always refer to my clients as thriving practice owners. Well, my answer is really simple. When I see my clients in love with their business and knowing how to keep a steady flow of leads and clients coming in the door, which means making income and doing it with balance in their lives, well, to me, that is them thriving. The word thrive means to grow vigorously or to gain in wealth or possessions. And that's exactly what a thriving practice owner represents. Someone who has grown, both personally and professionally, and gained in wealth or possessions, meaning they're earning an income to support their life and their lifestyle. Well, that's my goal with my business, to help my clients and folks in my programs do just that, to thrive. I know that they are making a difference in the world because every one of them helps people live healthier and happier lives. And I show them a path to making this happen. It's why I refer to you all as private practice heroes, because you're out there changing and saving lives with the work that you do. So, Jessica, if you are listening, that's what I mean when I refer to my clients as thriving practice owners. Now, how did these folks get to be at this stage to thrive in their business and their practice and their life? Well, the ones that I work with have done 2 things generally. First off, they follow my number 1 rule of marketing a private practice, which is stop the random and get strategic with your marketing. Secondly, they follow a certain path by working with me that has helped them come to this place where they're growing and gaining in wealth, making the income that's going to support their business and their lives. And I know you're probably thinking, well, Kathy, I help people. I don't want to make this all about money. But here's the thing. If you have a business, it is about money, because if you're not making money working with clients, then you have a hobby or a charity. So let's make sure that if you want to run a business, that you run it as a business, not a hobby. And I'm going to walk you through the main steps you should be looking at if you want to thrive as well. So what do you need to do to see this with your own practice? Well, there's certain stages or steps you want to plan out in order to get to that same place I love helping people find, which is having a thriving practice, but also being a thriving practice owner. You can have one without the other for sure, but I want you to have both. I want you to be able to spend your time working with your favorite clients, doing the work you love, and still having time left in your day for the people and the things that matter to you. That, to me, is how you thrive in business and how you thrive as a business owner as well. So let's go through these steps to becoming a thriving practice owner. And these are the same steps I've walked hundreds of clients through and that we go through in the Thrive Marketing Academy. They are steps that have helped build those thriving practices I talk about. And whether it was thriving at 30,000 a year or 50,000 a year or 100,000, 250,000, or even into the 7 figures for some of the businesses and practices I've worked with. The level at which you're going to thrive will be very different. But the path for each, when they're working with me, they have all started the same way. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to cover the 7 easy to implement steps that will help you thrive as a private practice owner. And this path starts with step number 1. Step number 1 is understanding the big picture of marketing. And this is really about how your website, how the content you create, and the messages you put out there work together with the search engines. When you connect these dots, you will really understand the relationship between your marketing foundations and the marketing content you create and how they work together with the search engines of the world. Because those search engines are the secret sauce to making all your marketing work. This understanding of the big picture helps make your marketing easier because you stop doing marketing activities in a random way and instead you have them all connected to one another. And you understand how what you do can be found and registered by the search engines. They all work together with that purpose, really, of helping you achieve your goals. There's nothing random about it. It's all planned and very strategic. And when you do this versus doing tons of marketing that is very random, you will find that it doesn't help people find you so that they can convert into clients. You'll find that you're going to spend a lot more time trying to do this marketing, chasing down clients. And that is why so many practitioners feel like they spend a lot of their marketing time chasing clients online because they are. Folks that have this issue are doing what I call random acts of marketing. And random marketing will get you random results every time. When you understand that big picture of marketing, you're going to understand how to be more strategic with the marketing and the activities that you do and the time you put into all of it. The next step is ensuring you have optimized your marketing and your business foundation. So this is step number 2. Now, there are 10 foundations that I recommend you optimize in order to make certain everything you do with your business and marketing plans is effective and purposeful, not random. So we always start there, those marketing foundations. They help make everything be effective and they save you time. They are also things that many folks never have in place or that aren't set up ideally to help make your marketing work. And we've talked about these foundations on the podcast before because I promise you, without these in place, your marketing often misses its mark and can be a real waste of time. I've got a quiz that you can take to check if you have the foundations you need in place, and I'll link to that in the show notes. It also comes with a checklist too, so you'll have an outline of what each of those 10 foundations are and what role they play in your marketing. One of my clients witnessed their importance firsthand after we did a marketing assessment. I'll never forget some of the words that I put in her assessment because one of them said something to the effect of, "Do not send anyone to your website right now until this is fixed." Like I was literally telling her, don't send anybody to the website. So after we did the assessment and she made the changes recommended, she started seeing a huge shift in her group practice. They made the updates to the foundations. Then they started following a plan we created for her. And boy, did things ever change for her. They started getting daily requests from new clients and were able to grow the practice to the point that they hired even more dietitians to handle the caseload of clients. And of course, her income and the income of the practice grew along with that to almost double in under 2 years. And I know that marketing foundations sounds boring and they're not as interesting as just doing social media and having fun making videos and cool images for your Instagram feed, but these foundations work. And frankly, they won't take up all your time day in and day out as you try to go viral with your latest videos online. Getting those foundations set up and optimized is critical to your success in business and your success with marketing and how you get on that path to being a thriving practice owner. Next up is step 3, which is having a basic understanding, and I'm going to stress basic here, of SEO and keywords. I know search engine optimization can really paralyze people when they think about it, but without this knowledge, I promise that 70% of the content you create will probably not be as helpful in getting people to find you or help your message reach the right people. For many folks, when we do their marketing assessment and I assess the content that they've been putting out online, it's often more than 70%. When you understand search engine optimization and your keywords, that will help you plan your content a lot more strategically. And when you create content that is geared to reach your ideal clients and do it in a way that the search engines can also see that information and the intent of it, even content you post on social media, well, that's when practice and business owners start saying that more leads are coming in from Google and more people are finding them online. That symbiotic relationship I mentioned in step one comes into play here. So you really need to build your knowledge on this topic because it will pay off in the long run. And as you learn more about SEO, and you can, I promise it really isn't as scary as most people think. You will find yourself, though, when you're learning about it, understanding why using some words in certain places is important and not using others is critical to not do. One of my best examples of this, and I teach this in a module of training in the Thrive Marketing Academy, is my famous line that welcome is not a keyword for your private practice. And I mean the word welcome. Yet so many people have the word welcome front and center on their website. And it's in one of the most coveted SEO placements that you can put on your website homepage. You got to stop doing this because welcome is not a keyword for most of you practice and business owners. Welcome is not a word that helps people or the search engines find you. Think about it. How many clients will actually use the word welcome to find a therapist or a dietitian, right? They don't. So you get it now, right? Understanding SEO helps you understand why doing something like that is a really big mistake. There are better words that you can put on the very top and on the home page of your website that will actually help people understand more about what you offer and make the search engines happy too. So remember, get some basic understanding of SEO and keywords so that you know how to put your content together in a more strategic manner so that it will get results for you. So let's move on to step number 4. And this is where we're going to start talking a bit of numbers. Number 4 is all about tracking your stats and doing it consistently. And I know as soon as I say things like track your stats and know your numbers, some people like to tune out, but don't do that. Come back here and listen in because this stage, step number 4, is where you're going to learn the most information about whether or not your efforts in your marketing are working. Those numbers, well, as a business owner, thinking about these numbers, you really can't afford to ignore them. They help you be more strategic than anything out there. You won't move ahead if you ignore the data and the information that can help you thrive. Tracking your numbers and having a system for tracking stats is critical on this path to having a thriving practice. And if you've been listening to this podcast at all, you will have heard me talk about tracking your stats and the importance of these numbers many times. This is pure data that tells you if you're on the right path or if you need adjustments. And sometimes you may even find those numbers will let you know when things are broken. I've definitely had that happen with some of my clients. Now, if you're not sure what numbers you can track, you can definitely get started with my free stats tracking template. It comes with a lesson on how to use the template and explains what some of the starter numbers and data are in the template so that you can begin customizing it for your own practice and your own business and using it. And this is something many business owners think you only need to start doing once your business gets going and growing. This is something you start from the beginning, tracking your stats. You start doing this when you open your business or your practice. That's the only way to really track the numbers that matter and know what happens from the very beginning. Starting to track your numbers once you reach the success stage in your business, well, you may find that that success stage could have happened a lot earlier had you been tracking things earlier on. These numbers do tell a story, and sometimes the story is one that tells you exactly where to go and what to do or what to change. So remember, tracking those stats is something you want to do and start from day one. They help you keep your head out of the sand when it comes to learning what you can do to make sure your business thrives. The next step, number 5, is really all about honing in on your messaging. It's called having a clear message. Now, your messaging encompasses two main elements. Number one, you need to know and understand your client and the problems they're having and the things you help them solve. And number two, you need to understand the offer you have. And this is your solution, the thing that you help people with. And you need to be able to understand your offer enough so that you can word it so people understand who you are, how you help people, and what problem you help solve. Taking the time to plan out your messaging is critical. You want to know the best way to introduce yourself or even answer the question, "What do you do?" in such a way that people know exactly who you are, what you do, who you help, and what problem you help people with. But it's surprising how many folks stumble on this and try to get creative. And creativity is important, but I will tell you, clarity wins in messaging every time. So once you have your messaging nailed down, then you're ready to get into the marketing. But if you jump into marketing your practice without having these first 5 steps in place, these fundamentals needed to market your practice effectively, I promise you that at least 50% or more of the time you spend on your marketing is going to be a waste. Because when you don't have these 5 fundamentals in place, these first 5 steps, then typically what happens is what you're putting out there for marketing, how you're putting it out there, and where you're putting it out there. Well, without those fundamentals, you're likely going to be missing the mark with your marketing. And marketing is all about reaching the right people with the right message so they understand exactly who you are, how you help people, and what problem you help them solve. So I always like to say, try the grandma test. In our family, it was the nonna test or grandma test. And what I mean by the grandma test is this. If your mom or grandma can't tell you or tell their friends what you do, then you need to work on your messaging. If you have told them who you are, how you help, what you do, and the problem you solve, but they can't tell you that back in a way that they could tell or share it with their friends so that they know what you do, you've got to focus on improving that messaging. Okay? Once you've got that down pat, then we get into step number 6 on this journey, which is actually the marketing part. And number 6 is all about planning and implementing your marketing content. And this is when we refer to the planning and implementation of what you're going to do when it comes to marketing in respect to content you create, activities you're going to do, and your schedule to get it all done so that it gets out there where it needs to be in order to work. To do the marketing is what we're talking about here. And this starts by setting up and planning your marketing foundations and your content so that anything you're doing with marketing is intended to reach the right people with the right message and give them the right action to take. Actions that will help them get to know you, like you, and even trust you enough to say, "Hey, I want to work with you." So once you've got your content marketing plans in place, then you move on to the next step, which is implementing the plans, actually doing the marketing and putting those plans into reality. And hopefully doing that on a consistent basis, because that is the secret sauce to making this all work. Consistency with your marketing. And this is where having systems in place to help you make it all happen will be needed. Required, really, because you want your plans to come to life in the most efficient and effective way possible, and your systems help you do that. The planning helps you make sure that you're not doing random marketing, but now you have to actually get it done, not just plan to do it. And this is where the Thrive marketing method I teach comes into play. It's a way of implementing a content marketing plan with the least amount of content possible, but by doing it in a way that makes you very visible online. It's based on a system of creating one main piece of content and repurposing it in many ways to be used on your website, in your emails, and on social media. This method I teach is how folks learn to do their marketing in a way that means marketing only takes minutes a day to get done, if that, versus spending hours a day on social media. And following this method means you can actually create less content that you did before, and you're probably going to see more results from it than you did before as well. It's how I help people get to a place where they can really spend maybe 15 minutes a day on social media, if that. And you really have to remember this: social media is only one piece of your marketing plan. You can't be relying or focusing solely on social media to grow a practice. When you do rely on social media as your main foundation for marketing, you can actually be putting your practice and your business at risk. Just think back to the big outage days of recent years when Facebook and Instagram went down for a day or a day and a half. Businesses got hurt by this. People that focused and relied on social media, they lost leads, they lost people in their community, and a lot of them lost sales because they only ever used Facebook and Instagram as their main marketing foundation. They had nothing to fall back on, and no one who will be accountable for making sure they can use the systems was there to help them. When you tell your website host or your email marketing system provider that there's a problem with your account, they fix it. They talk to you via their support channels. But social media, you try reaching Facebook when a post that violated their community standards is getting your page closed, or even if your personal Facebook account got disabled because of that same violation. Try reaching Facebook to get your free account back with them. That's not happening in the majority of cases, especially when you see their appeal process and their information in their help files. It's not great. Their exact words are, if you think your account was disabled by mistake, please use this form to request a review. Keep in mind that in some cases, we may not issue a warning before disabling your account. We also can't restore accounts that were disabled for severe violations. In other words, they're not going to help you in a lot of cases. And when you do get to the appeal stage, again, their exact words on the appeal process guide say this: keep in mind that not all content and content decisions will be eligible for appeal. Now, they say they're adding more options, but honestly, when you think about social media, most of these systems are free to use, and you kind of get what you pay for when it comes to support, which isn't the same as the kind of support you're going to get when you're paying a web host or an email marketing system provider for a tool and a system you use. You're paying them, they will help support you. And this is why having your foundations in place is so critical. Foundations that are not all based on social media profiles is the way you balance this. You have to really remember social media is only one piece of your marketing toolkit, so you never want to rely on it. So the sixth step is all about planning and implementing and using your foundations and systems to get your marketing out there and done. And the last step on your journey to being a thriving practice owner, step number 7, is the review step. I call it review, redo, and improve. And this is where, as part of your plans, you're checking your numbers and the stats that you track to learn from them. You're reviewing them on a regular basis, and FYI, that does not mean once a year, okay? You should aim for once a month or a quarter at a minimum. You should be looking and tracking these stats and looking at them regularly. When you review the numbers, what you want to do is look for trends and patterns or growth that you see or any issues as well. You look and review the numbers, and the idea is you're trying to notice the items that will tell you things of what you should change, what you should stop doing, what you should do more of. And sometimes it will even notify you there's a problem you have to fix so that you can improve things. Taking the time to review those results that you got and the numbers, these will all guide you as to what to do next. But they can't guide you if you're not paying attention to them. Whenever you check data versus your feelings of what's happening, data often tells a very different story. But you won't know any story if you're not reviewing the numbers regularly to hear the story. You can't plan for where you're going to go if you don't know where you've been. And reviewing those stats and numbers will tell you where you've been and where you can go from here. So there you have it. That is a breakdown of the 7 steps to becoming a thriving practice owner. Now, these steps aren't rocket science, but they are filled with proven methods and a lot of common sense. The steps don't require you to be a tech genius either to make them happen, but you do want to be able to understand the concepts when it comes to marketing your private practice. And it will be a hard journey to thrive unless you follow a process and a plan to make it happen. I've said it before, random marketing is not the way to go. It will make the process take so much longer and it may never gel and come to fruition. You really have to be strategic with your business planning and your marketing planning in order to thrive in practice and life. Your action step from this lesson today is to review these 7 steps. You'll get an outline of them on the show notes page if you want to take a look at that. I have a link to it in the notes below wherever you're listening to this podcast. And what you want to do here is assess what you're doing or not doing and figure out what you might be missing. Take the foundations quiz I have to know if you're in good shape or if you need some improvement when it comes to your marketing foundations. And then you want to make sure you have everything you need to put it all in place to get these 7 steps happening for your business or practice. Start with that free stats tracking template that I mentioned. It has the base numbers to get you going and a video lesson on using the template. And I'll have a link to that in the show notes too. Then what you want to do is get more strategic with your practice and your marketing and really plan to be successful and plan for what you're going to do. To recap those 7 steps for you, they are, you've got to understand the big picture of marketing. That's where you're going to start. From there, you move on to step number 2, optimize your marketing foundations. Step number 3 is having a basic understanding of SEO and keywords. I have a couple of blogs on this, but it is an entire module we teach in the Academy because it is important for people to get that understanding so that you can create content. Then you want to be sure that you're tracking your stats and your numbers and do this from day 1. Step number 5 is you have to make sure that you've clarified your message and that people understand who you are, what you do, how you help, and the problem you solve for people. Remember, test that out on your grandma if you need to, or your mom, or a friend. Test it out on somebody that may have really no idea what you do now and see if they can understand what your message is, to know that they could send somebody to you because they understand what makes a good client for you. I guess not what, who makes a good client for you. Number 6 in this step is to develop and implement a marketing plan. And then number 7 is you want to take time on a regular basis to review, redo, and improve. All right? Those are the 7 steps. And when you follow a path that's lined with these 7 steps, you're going to find that you've got the foundations and systems in place that help you get your message out in the world so that people and the search engines know what you do, how you help people, and what problems you help them solve. What follows after this is typically an increase in website traffic, referrals, leads, and sales. And these are all key elements that help practice owners thrive in business and in life. So tell me, are you ready to stop being random with your business and your marketing and get a little more strategic so you can thrive too? It is possible. Don't ever let anyone say it's not. Let me know if this episode got you thinking a little bit more about how you do your marketing and how you go about planning what you want to do and how you want to grow and build your practice. You can send me a voice message via this special link I have called speakpipe.com/KathyC, and I'll link to that in the show notes. I'd love to know what your plans are and what your first step is that you're going to do and what change you're going to make with your business or practice from these 7 steps that will help you build a thriving practice and become a thriving practice owner. And if you've been enjoying the podcast for a while now, can I ask you a favor? It would be so awesome if you could rate and review the podcast on your favorite player. They all have a different way of doing it, but typically if you look wherever you're listening to the podcast, that system will have a spot where you can either hit the stars or post a review, whatever it is. I'd love if you could put a review there. Let me know what you think of the podcast. And if you have any ideas or questions you want answered in future episodes, definitely send me a voice message via that SpeakPipe link as well. And I'll link to that in the show notes too. Have a fabulous day, everyone. And remember, you can be a thriving practice owner. You've just got to be strategic with your marketing and your plans. That's how you're going to plan to thrive. And it starts with these 7 steps. You can find all of our show notes and resources mentioned at marketingyourprivatepractice.com. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at pepperitmarketing and say hi. I'd love to hear any feedback you have, and make sure to rate and review the podcast and hit subscribe on your favorite player so you don't miss any future episodes.